Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Bhajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Bhajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajacharya Astotra to the Srimad Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhakti-vedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajacharya Astotra to the Srimad Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavina ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Jai. Okay. Oh, there. Okay, thanks. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta-vrinda ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Okay. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. On this 22nd day of July, 2025 in San Diego, a reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we are in chapter 6, Dhyāna-yoga, the yoga of meditation. Text 24 on page 278. Okay, 3 lines. Sa nishchayena yoktavyo yogo anurvinna cetasa sankalpa prabhavan kamangs tyakva sarvan asheshataha manasayavendriya gramam viniyamya samantataha. All right, since it's 3 lines, I'll go through twice and then you can chant. Sanishchayena yoktavyo yogo nirvinna cetasa sankalpa prabhavan kamangs tyaktva sarvan asheshataha manasayavendriya gramam viniyamya samantataha sanishchayena yoktavyo yogo nirvinna cetasa sankalpa prabhavan kamangs tyaktva sarvan asheshataha manasayavendriya gramam viniyamya samantataha. Go ahead, Chad. Sanishchayena yoktavyo yogo nirvinna cetasa sankalpa prabhavan kamangs tyakva sarvan asheshataha manasayavendriya gramam viniyamya samantataha. Manis. Sanishchayena yoktavyo yogo nirvinna cetasa sankalpa prabhavan kamangs tyakva sarvan asheshataha manasayavendriya gramam viniyamya samantataha. Eddie or Fruity, you want to try? Okay. Fruity? No? You don't have to. Sanishchayena yoktavyo yogo nirvinna cetasa sankalpa prabhavan kamangs tyakva sarvan asheshataha manasayavendriya gramam viniyamya samantataha. Wait, hold on. Sanishchayena yoktavyo yogo nirvinna cetasa sankalpa prabhavan kamangs tyakva sarvan asheshataha manasayavendriya gramam viniyamya samantataha. Ami. Sanishchayena yoktavyo yogo nirvinna cetasa sankalpa prabhavan kamangs tyakva sarvan asheshataha manasayavendriya gramam Viniyamya samantataha. Sanishchayena yoktavyo. Yogo nirvinna cetasa. Sankalpa prabhavan kamangs. Chakpa sarvana sheshataha. Manasaya vendriya gramam. Viniyamya samantataha. Okay, who's online? Hello?
Sanishchayena yoktavyo.
Sanishchayena yoktavyo.
Yogo nirvina cetasa.
Yogo nirvinna cetasa.
Sankalpa prabhavan kamam.
Sankalpa prabhavan kamangs.
Tyaktva sarvana asheshataha.
Chakpa sarvana sheshataha.
Manasayvendriya gramam.
Manasayvendriya gramam.
Viniyamya samantataha.
Viniyamya samantataha. Can we have your name?
Haribo, Haribo. My name is Vanessa. Haribo.
Vanessa.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Could be anywhere in the world.
Sorry, I am also from Tucson.
Tucson.
Temple. Yes, Hare Krishna.
You sound like you're... Huh? Thursday. Oh, great. Okay. All right, here we go. I'm just going to go through the word by words real quick. Sa that nishchayena, with firm determination, yoktavyaha, must be practiced, yogaha, yoga system. Anirvinna cetasa, without deviation. Sankalpa, mental speculations. Prabhavan, born of. Kaman, material desires. Tyakva, giving up. Sarvan, all. Asheshataha, completely. Manasa, by the mind. Eva, certainly. Indriya gramam, the full set of senses. Viniyamya, regulating. Samantataha, from all sides. Translation. Okay. Translation. One should engage oneself in the practice of yoga with determination and faith, and not be deviated from the path. One should abandon, without exception, all material desires born of mental speculation, and thus control all the senses on all sides by the mind. Purport. The yoga practitioner should be determined and should patiently prosecute the practice without deviation. One should be sure of success at the end and pursue this course with great perseverance, not becoming discouraged if there is any delay in the attainment of success. Success is sure for the rigid practitioner. Regarding bhakti-yoga, Rupa Goswami says, Utsaha nishtayadharyat tat karma pravartanat sangat yagat sato vritte shadbir bhakti prasidhyati. One should execute the process of bhakti-yoga successfully with full-hearted enthusiasm, perseverance, and determination, by following the prescribed duties in the association of devotees, and by engaging completely in activities of goodness. Upadeshamrita 3. As for determination, one should follow the example of the sparrow, who lost her eggs in the waves of the ocean. A sparrow laid her eggs on the shore of the ocean, but the big ocean carried away the eggs on its waves. The sparrow became very upset and asked the ocean to return her eggs. The ocean did not even consider her appeal. So the sparrow decided to dry up the ocean. She began to pick out the water in her small beak, and everyone laughed at her for her impossible determination. The news of her activity spread, and at last Garuda, the gigantic bird carrier of Lord Vishnu, heard it. He became compassionate toward his small sister bird, and so he came to see the sparrow. Garuda was very pleased by the determination of the small sparrow, and he promised to help. Thus Garuda at once asked the ocean to return her eggs, lest he himself take up the work of the sparrow. The ocean was frightened at this, and returned the eggs. Thus the sparrow became happy by the grace of Garuda. Similarly, the practice of yoga, especially bhakti-yoga in Krishna consciousness, may appear to be a very difficult job. But if anyone follows the principles with great determination, the Lord will surely help, for God helps those who help themselves. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnanandana Shalakaya chakshu unmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and all members of Sri Parampara, the disciplic succession. So before we explicate a little bit on this purport, I want to read the translation to the previous 4 verses, 20 to 23, which describe the state of samadhi, success in yoga practice. And these descriptions also pertain ultimately to those who perfect the bhakti-yoga process. So here's the translation to 20 to 23. In the stage of perfection called trance or samadhi, one's mind is completely restrained from material mental activities by the practice of yoga. This perfection is characterized by one's ability to see the self, capital self, that means the supersoul, by the pure mind and to relish and rejoice in the self. In that joyous state, one is situated in boundless transcendental happiness, realized through transcendental senses. Established thus, one never departs from the truth, and upon gaining this, he thinks there is no greater gain. Being situated in such a position, one is never shaken, even in the midst of the greatest difficulty. This indeed is actual freedom from all miseries arising from material contact. So, that in many ways also describes the perfection of bhakti-yoga. There's especially this boundless transcendental happiness realized through transcendental senses. So we hear this verse Prabhupada also quotes about how can we understand or perceive these things about God which are beyond the range of our senses. So it is said, Atak Shri Krishna Namadi Nabhaved Grayam Indriyai Sevan Mukhehi Jivado Swayam Eva Spuratyada. It says, Shri Krishna Nama Adi. Nama Adi means the holy name, etc. Name, form, qualities, and pastimes. With our present senses, which are, let's say, we cannot perceive the transcendental reality. We can't perceive the spirit. Lesson number 1 in the Bhagavad Gita is that we're spirit, not matter. We're the eternal soul. The soul does not die, it's never born. Right? Which means, by implication, we've had many, many other lives before. Now, we don't want many, many, many in the future. We want this to be our last incarnation within matter. But in order to do that, we need to purify our consciousness. That's the key. So, so what this verse says that with our present senses, we cannot perceive the Lord directly. And that's why one of his names is Adhokshaja. It's an interesting name. It's not a name that pertains to his Leela in Vrindavan at all. It's made of three words, Adha, Aksha, and Ja. When it comes together, Adhoksha Ja. So Ja is short for Janma, birth. It comes into being. Aksha is the eyes, or any senses, all of our senses, our material senses. So the knowledge born of our material senses, this is what we're working on now. You see, this is not transcendental knowledge, it's knowledge that we can perceive. But the spirit, we can't perceive, but that's essential knowledge. So we need to purify our senses so we can perceive spirit. So Akshaja, so he says, Atak Shri Krishna Namadi Nabhaved Grayam Nabhaved Grayam Indriyai. So these senses cannot perceive the Lord as he is now, his name, form, qualities, etc. But, sorry. But if one begins to serve him with these senses, beginning with the tongue, by chanting the holy name and tasting prasadam. That's the beginning. Jiva, J-I-H-V-A is the tongue. J-I-V-A is the soul. One letter makes a big difference. Swayameva Spuratyada. So as we continue to serve with following this instruction of the Upadeshamrita, which we'll explain in a minute, then gradually Krishna reveals himself. He sees our sincerity, and with the purification of our senses, gradually we're able to perceive more and more the spiritual reality behind the material veil, so to speak. And if we become completely pure, we can experience Krishna at every moment. And what is Krishna? We learn from the Vedanta Sutra, I know a few of those sutras. Sutras are these aphorisms, but they're full of meaning. Oh, Anandamayo Bhyasat. Ananda means bliss. I don't know, it's kind of, there's a word. I once was researching chocolate to find out why we're not supposed to eat it so much. And believe it or not, one of the attractive features of chocolate is anandamide, a chemical called anandamide. Yes, yes, look it up. I'm sorry? Not negative food? Well, we're not supposed to have, there's a substitute. We have the carob. But anandamide is a chemical that makes you blissful when you eat a lot of chocolate. That's why it's so popular. So anyway, the real Ananda, Krishna is Ananda Maya Bhyasat. Maya is a word that means full of. Just like one of the popular names for devotees are Karunamayi. Karunamayi, I know several Karunamayis. Those who are full of mercy. It's a name for Radharani. Mercy personified. She's even more merciful than Krishna, right? So Mahi means filled with. And on the male side, it's, I think, Maya, Ananda Maya. What is that? Maya, yeah. So Krishna is Ananda Maya Bhyas. He's always full of bliss. He never gets depressed. He's never bored. He says, again, here I am in the spiritual. No, it's not like that. Moment to moment, he's enjoying bliss. And the happiness that he enjoys is always in relation to other living entities there. Whether it's the cows or the trees or the gopis or the cowherd boys, his parents, elderly gopis. So that it's all in the rasa, in the relationship, you see. So and on the spiritual platform, it doesn't degrade. The whole difference between spirit and matter is that matter is constantly changing. It's called asat. Sat means eternal, you see. Asat means temporary. So we're in the world of asat. Can't you tell? Especially as you get older, time goes faster, right? Things are changing. Like just the climate change. Here in San Diego, I've been sitting in here, resident here since 89. What is that? Almost 36 years. It's 36 years now. 36 or 40? Yeah, 36. So, but there's been a big change in the climate. I mean, we used to have, it never was this cold. I mean, you're almost cold. In the middle of July, come on, give me a break, So it's changed quite a bit. And one of the things we've noticed is this tree out here. What's the name of the tree, the big tree? Plumeria, yeah. It used to be bloomed. At this time, it would be full of blooms. We'd be getting those for the deities right from this tree. 2 years now, it hasn't really bloomed. Yeah, I mean, it's anyway, so it's always changing. Certainly our body is changing, we're growing, we can think back to when we were 10 years old, we have some memories, right? Same person, but different mind, different senses, you see? And then we grow up, become adolescents and so forth. Things change, right? Our consciousness changes, body changes. So that's the reality of being embodied in material. Matter is always changing. And at last, finally, at a certain point, millions of years from now, it'll all be destroyed. It'll all be destroyed and everything will merge back into the body of Mahavishnu and it just stays dormant for many, many, many millions of years. So who knows how many times that's happened to us, you see? So the point is, we are human beings. We are interested, you're all interested here, in spirit, Krishna, right? So we should pursue that. That's really the goal of human life. Because everything else, no matter what you accumulate, what you gather, name, fame, riches, beauty, whatever, family, it's all, when you leave this body, it's all gone, it's taken away. Mrityu sarvaharashchaham. Krishna says, as death, I take everything away from material, And so when we put our faith in that, or we put our aspirations in material things, it's a tragic waste of human life. What we're doing here, finding out, Krishna's instructions and how we can more and more experience the spiritual dimension of life. Let's just put it that way in a general sense. But it's practical. This yoga system that he's describing here is actually impractical for us. And Arjuna is our representative. He says, I can't do it, Krishna. Said Chanchalam Himana Krishna Pramati Balavadurham, because it all depends on being able to control the mind. being able to bring the mind under control. He says a very, very wonderful statement. The mind is the best friend of the living entity and his worst enemy as well. The mind that's filled with all these material desires and fears and anxieties and all of these things is the worst. You know, you're living with that mind and you're identifying with it, you know, and it's keeping you bound to this material world. And it creates all kinds of unhappiness, you know. There may be a few little high points of pleasure that you have, but it's temporary. Temporary. The pleasures in this world are all ephemeral. Means that they come and they go, you see. And that brings us to our favorite verse. Yehi sangsparja bhoga. I should put this into a poem, I think. Yehi sangsparja bhoga dukkha yonaya evati. Adyantavanta kaunteya nateshu ramade buddhaha. The wise do not take part in the pleasures that are due to the contact of the senses with the sense objects. In other words, sense gratification. O son of Kunti, of course, he says, Krishna says, so son of Kunti, such pleasures have a beginning and an end, and they are the source of all misery, and so the wise do not take their pleasure there. But we're part and parcel of Krishna. He's anandamaya vyasat. He's enjoying it every moment. Therefore, that's our nature. What happened? You know, we're not enjoying it every moment, right? I mean, little blips of pleasure, you know. So how do they take their pleasure? In other words, how can we come to the platform of experiencing the previous 3 verses, 4 verses, where we're experiencing an ever-increasing bliss at every moment? And having gained that, we think there is no greater gain. Where do you find that in the material world? You know? I mean, look at the billionaires. You want to be like them? No, thank you. You know? Hated by 300 million people, you know? Please. But if you can link up to Krishna and through devotional service, in other words, the whole thing is the rasa, the relationship. Not just that we're thinking about him, that's good, but also that we're actively trying to please him by glorifying, by serving, by attending Bhagavad Gita, reading his words, you see. And you find that there is a great pleasure in that, even in just the beginning stages, if you really concentrate your mind and you try to do it. Isn't it? Otherwise, you wouldn't come back. Yeah, I went there one time. I can't. Just like my brother. I'll just tell you a little word. I have so many. He came here once. This is many years ago. He's living in California. He lives up in LA. And so I told him about the chanting, you know. And you have to understand, like me, he was also raised in an Orthodox communist family. No God. We were raised as atheists. So, and he never made the leap, you know. So I told him, well, try to chant, you know, try the chanting. So he sat, I remember him sitting back there, and he's chanting maybe 2 rounds, maybe, you know. So, well, I didn't feel anything, you know, I didn't get anything out of it, you know. Because there has to be some faith, there has to be some determination, you know. But anyway, you know, I've been doing this since I was almost 53 years. And I can honestly say, it never gets boring. The same mantra, and that's a sign that is purely transcendental. And we've all had that experience. If you really get absorbed in chanting, you know, you don't say, well, okay, I heard that one before. Your mind is telling it, listen, don't you have another song? You know, the material side says, no. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Just like that poem, I can't resist. Radheti nama navasundara siddhu mugdam, Krishneti nama manurāpada dugdham, Sarvakshanam sudabhiraga himena ramyam kritva tadaiva pibame rasane chidarte. And this was written by Raghunath Das Goswami, one of the 6 Goswamis. You know, he was at super high level. So he's describing the holy name of Radha and Krishna. This is the mantra is composed. Hare is vocative for Hara, which is the goddess of fortune. The original goddess of fortune is Radharani. So we're calling out to Radharani first and then to Krishna. Rama is also a name for Krishna, meaning the supreme enjoyer. Or it can be, Prabhupada, it could mean Balaram. We're coming up on Balaram's appearance day. I forget the date. The 8th? Okay, so it's right after Rath Yatra, 5 days after Rath Yatra. So anyway, Prabhupada, so what does it mean? So it says, oh Radha, oh Krishna, please engage me in your service. That's the meaning, if you're looking for a meaning, you see. So, this is, he's describing his experience with the names Radha and Krishna. An excellent fresh nectar drink with endless subtle tastes, Such is the name of Radha, by whom all three worlds are graced. Condensed milk that is wonderfully delicious, thick and sweet. Such is the name of Krishna, in whom all attractions meet. Now mix these drinks, O thirsty tongue, and add the cooling, fragrant spice of love, a prize the wise will try to buy at any price. And then at every moment drink this beverage most fine, and make my heart supremely blissful, peaceful, and divine. Now even in an impure state, with still sadhana bhaktas and going on, you can experience that. You go to the kirtan melas, or you have a nice kirtan in the temple, or just chanting your rounds, you become extra concentration, you're really praying, and you can feel the nectar, you can experience it. It comes to the point, I don't want to stop, let me go chant a few more rounds, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. So this is the special quality of this mantra, and it's in the Upanishads. There's two verses in this Upanishad that describe. The first one is the mantra Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Then he says, Iti Shodashikam Namnam Kali Kalmasha Nashanam Natak Padataropaya Sarva Vedeshu Drishyate. These 16 names, Shodashikam Namnam. These 16 names, Kali Kalmasha Nashanam, destroy all of the ills and evils of this age of Kali. You can counteract them by taking shelter of this name. Sarva Vidya Nisheda, no, sorry, that's the word. Kali Kalmasha Nashanam, Natak Padataropaya Sarva Vedeshu Drishyade. So you look through all the Vedas, you see, the Upanishads and the Puranas and the Itihasas, the histories like Mahabharata and Ramayana. You will not find a more effective way of counteracting the ills and evils of Kali Yuga than this mantra. And this is why Krishna came as Lord Chaitanya, and he taught this as the main means of realization. Chanting, and especially dancing, chanting and dancing. But he also did japa. Lord Chaitanya also did japa, yes. Here's another verse. I don't have a poem for this one, but the Sanskrit is so beautiful, you love it. Hare Krishna Rama Nama Gana Dana Karanim Shoka Moha Loba Tapa Sarva Vignanashinim Pada Padma Lubda Bhakta Vrinda Bhakti Dainim Goda Mutta Masha Naumi Nama Sutta Dharinim. This is written by a great devotee named Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who Lord Chaitanya converted when he went to Jagannath Puri. He was an impersonalist, but he was in charge of the temple, but he was still in person. And I won't tell the whole story, but Lord Chaitanya, after he took sannyas, he immediately went to Jagannath Puri, because he promised his mother that he would set up there, because she was brokenhearted because her other son took sannyas and he went south, and now the last son. But she said, "Oh, well, at least go to Puri, which is not that far from Bengal. I'll get news from you." So he agreed. So after he went to Jagannath Puri to set up. So he met, anyway, it's a wonderful story. He was with Nityananda, and Gadadhar was with him, and there's a couple others. And Lord Nityananda, he was carrying a sannyasi staff. He's a sannyasi. But Lord Nityananda said, what does he need to carry this staff for? So he broke it. Lord Chaitanya took a bath in the river, and Lord Nityananda broke his staff and threw it into the river. And so Lord Chaitanya said, Nityananda, where's my staff? Where's my danda? Said, oh, you don't need a danda. He just broke it in. What? I'm not going to go with you. You can go first because they were a good 20 miles away, or I'll go first. I said, you go ahead. So he went ahead. So he arrived first. Came into the Jagannath temple, beautiful big Jagannath deities, what they take out for the huge Rath Yatra every year, Just happened. Authorities, they said, oh, this is one of these sahajiyas, playing and being in ecstasy. They were going to beat him up and show him out. But Sarvabhauma said, no. He was very striking, 7 foot tall, sannyasi, golden, So he said, no, he looks authentic. So he tested to see, he looked like he maybe expired, so he looks like he maybe had died, but he put a little cotton by his nose and he was still breathing. He was in samadhi, he was in complete absorption, you could hardly tell. So then Lord Sarvabhauma said, oh, take him to my home. So they took Lord Chaitanya, they carried him to his home, And after maybe half an hour or so, the others arrived and said, did some sannyasi come in here? He said, yes. He came and he fainted, and he was taken to Sarvabhauma's house. So they took him there too. And so they saw Lord Chaitanya was lying down, in samadhi. So they started chanting in his ear, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And after some time, he woke up and started dancing, and everyone was relieved. So anyway, So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was worried about Lord Chaitanya as a sannyasi. He was so beautiful, and young, only 24 years. How are you going to keep the sannyas? And so he wanted to teach him about Vedanta, So because Lord Chaitanya said, "Oh, my spiritual master told me I'm not smart enough to study Vedanta. Just chant Hare Krishna." He told the same thing to Prakashananda Sir. Of course, he couldn't. Nimai Pandit, he was super smart, but he played that game. So Sarvabhauma said, "All right, I'll teach you." So he started instructing Lord Chaitanya in Vedanta, and Lord Chaitanya was sitting there, wasn't saying anything, because he was giving him the impersonal view. So after 7 days, I think it was, Sarvabhauma said, "I'm telling you about Vedanta. You're not asking any questions. Do you understand what I'm talking about?" So Lord Chaitanya, "I understand the meaning of the sutras very well, but you're obscuring them with all of your speculation." So Sarvabhauma said, "Well, why don't you tell me what it means?" So then he instructed him and illuminated him, and gave him the Bhakti Vedanta. Bhakti Vedanta, Prabhupada's name, the conclusion. And Sarvabhauma suddenly realized the power, and he was converted at that moment, And after that, he was such a great Sanskrit scholar, he wrote 100 verses, just like that Keshava Kashmiri. There's another story. 100 verses in Sanskrit, glorifying Lord Chaitanya. And it's known as Su Shloka Shatakam. 100 really beautiful verses about Lord Chaitanya, Su Shloka. And this is one of them. So now I'll tell you what it means. So Hare Krishna Rama Nama Gana Dana Karanim. So Hare Krishna Rama Nama. Lord Chaitanya took these three names, Hare Krishna and Rama, Nama, and he made it into a song, Gana. And he made that song into a gift, and he gave that gift. Gana, Dana. Dana is gift, Gana is song. Karani means make. So Lord Chaitanya took this mantra, this song, made it into a song, and he gave it out to everybody, you see? And then the second line says, Hare Krishna Rama Nama Gana Dana Shoka Moha Lobha Tapa Sarva Vignanashinim. And those who accept that gift and start chanting, they conquer over these things. Shoka, no lamentation. Shoka Moha, illusion. Lobha, greed. Tapa, all suffering, is destroyed if you actually accept this gift and start chanting it. Tapasava vigna, or difficulties, nashinim, destroys. And for those devotees who are very fortunate and very greedy for the service of the Lord, he bestows the highest gift of prema, if those chant, this Hare Krishna mantra and worship Lord Chaitanya. Gautam, so then he said the last line, Gauramotam Asha Naumi Namasutta Dharim. This golden-limbed Lord, Gauramotam with the form, Ashu, with great alacrity, speed, and enthusiasm. Asha Namasutta Dharanim. I worship that Lord who was sitting in a secluded place chanting japa on a knotted string. They didn't have the facility for all these beads, so they would take a long string and knot it up 108 knots and chant that way. So he's meditating. Isn't that a far out verse? It's a great meditation. So you write to me, Dravida108, Gmail, and I'll send you the whole 100 slokas. I don't have any poems yet to them, but I should write one for that. So anyway, back to the verse at hand. I'm getting a little far afield. So let's just meditate a minute on this verse that Prabhupada quotes. Utsahan Nishtaya Dayat. There is this book called the Upadeshamrita, the nectar of instruction. Prabhupada gave us the nectar of devotion, and then this nectar of instruction is very short. She has a copy. Very good. She always has a copy with her. That's why she's so advanced. And so 11 verses, and they're actually in order, and with commentary by Prabhupada, and they're very practical. They take you from the point of who's the guru, who should I, the qualities, and then what you should do and what you should avoid. Here are 6 things that destroy your bhakti. Here are the 6 things that further your bhakti. And this is the third verse. Utsahan Nishtaya Dayat. So I'll just go through it. Utsahan, enthusiasm, patience, and determination, Nishtaya, and patience, Daryat. In other words, we need to be enthusiastic, and then we determined, because there's so many obstacles. We're so conditioned. So I have to be determined and follow the do's and don'ts of bhakti, that you find in Bhagavad Gita. And Daryat, patient. Tat karma bhavan. In the matter of what? You have enthusiastic, determined, and patient. In the matter of performing the different steps of bhakti-yoga. Getting up early is the main thing. Chanting Hare Krishna, avoiding, meat eating, illicit sex, intoxication, gambling, do's and don'ts. So that's in the matter of that. Now, sangha tyagat. This sangha is association, means materialistic association. One has to give that up because we're influenced by that. As in the second chapter, we learned sangha sanjayate kama. By your association, you develop attachment, and when that attachment becomes strong, it becomes kama, very powerful moving force. And then if you get into that, then you're going to get into anger, and you're going to be completely conditioned. So choosing your association is all important. Just like, and it's not just, of course, the people you associate with, but at the same time also what you allow to influence you. Like we're now reading this Bhagavad Gita. It's the best association. We're associating with Krishna through his words, and with Prabhupada through his words. You see? So, yeah, I'm sorry, this is the ladies' side over here. So this association is great. If you're associating directly with Krishna through his words or through the deity, especially the holy name, we're being purified, we're being Krishnaized, as Prabhupada would say. They edited that. I don't agree with this editing. Krishnaized. I think Krishnaized is perfect. Krishnaized. Anyway, so sangha. Now here's the sangha. This is called association. Everything comes from association. Tyagat. So the sangha means material association. To give up material influence and association. And this is not so easy because we're surrounded by it everywhere. You see. But this is another thing that will further your bhakti. And sato vritti, following in the footsteps of the great devotees. In other words, we can emulate the behavior. Okay, get up early, yes. That's what the ashram is for. It's ideal. Shadbhya bhakti prasiddhiti. These 6 further your process of bhakti. You see, they help it. And then there are 6 things that I'll just give. I got to give the other side. Atyahara, which Krishna spoke about. Atyahara, too much eating. Atyahara priyasascha parjalpo niyamagraha janasangas, see again sangha. Janasangas talaulyamcha shadbhe bhakti pranashyati. Completely destroy, which we sing every morning when we go around Tulsi. Our sins are destroyed, completely destroyed by Kirkamevani Tulsi and singing. But our bhakti is destroyed if we do too much of these things. So ati ahara. Ahara is consumption of material things and also collecting. Too much collection of material things. Because then there are attachments that, they're attached to, this is mine, but actually everything belongs to Krishna. So that's a problem. Atyahara priyasascha, working too hard, very hard for material goals, you see. Prajalpa, nonsense talk. Material talk, sound vibration. That's talking and hearing it. Niyamagraha. Now niyamagraha is very interesting because niyamagraha means doing the bhakti things, but more or less going through the motions. Your heart isn't in it, your mind isn't in it, you're just showing up so physically. You can't really do that for very long. But that's deadly, In other words, you have to be there, present. That's why I always encourage to learn the meaning of the words. Because there's so much Sanskrit and Bengali going by, and it can be confusing. But there's things that's happening again and again, like the Samsara prayers of Mangalarti, the Tulsi prayers. You have the book, the songbook. If anyone needs a songbook, Eddie bought some nice songbooks he donated. I can give you one. So I worked very hard at getting word meanings in for every song in that songbook. We didn't have that for a long time. Because how important that is. I don't memorize any verses if I don't know the word meanings. So that helps to focus the mind. If you know, Namo Namo Tulasi Krishna Preyasi Namo Namaha. Again and again I offer obeisance. What's the meaning of obeisances? The Namo, I explained that once. Nama, the different levels, intensities. You go to, you fly Air India, and the stewardesses are there, Namaste, welcome, But it's more or less, not much more than hello, right? It's not serious. But when you get down, on all fours, and you're offering your head down, and for men, like the rod, that's and what's the nama? Not mine. Nama. This body, this mind is not mine, it's yours, oh Prabhupada, it's for your pleasure, yeah. Not for me, but for you. That's, yeah, not mine. That's a big thing. So anyway, that's one of the things that can help us, you know, to get over this possessiveness, me and mine. This is called false ego. What is mine? You know, it's got my name on it. But it's all temporary. So when we're in the mentality that, you know, everything belongs to Krishna, what's the first verse, not the mantra, the first mantra, not the invocation of the Ishopanishad? Ishabhashamidam sarvam yatkincha jigatyam jigat tena chaktena bunjita magudha kasya svidhanam. Everything is controlled and owned by the Isha. The Isha, the controller, is Krishna. Sarvam yatkincha. We are entitled to our quota, you know, to what we need to live, you know, but not more than that. Ishabhashamidam sarvam yatkincha jigat tena chaktena bunjita magudha kasya svidhanam. Magudha. Don't be greedy. It's almost the same word, gridha. Don't be greedy for other things beyond your quota for living, keeping the mind and body and soul together, you know. So this is some of the ramifications of this. And so Krishna is describing, you know, the process of advancing in Ashtanga yoga. But ultimately, in many of these purposes, Prabhupada says it's not practical for us. He agrees with Arjuna. And that's why bhakti-yoga is the answer in this age. And I'll do one more verse from the 12th canto, then if we have some discussion on these points. The 12th canto has a chapter, I think, near the beginning, Bhumi song, you know, describing the ills of this age. You know, that people are always disturbed, that the government is corrupt, and so they're always taxing the people. The people want to just give up everything, you know, and go to the forest to live because of so many taxes. And so ultimately, you know, and there's a whole list there. We just have to look around and see it. And then he comes to this verse. It's very important for us because it talks about chanting in the Bhagavatam. Kale doshanade rajan, asti eko mahaguna, kirtanadeva krishnasya, mukta sangha param bhajed. Here's this word sangha again. See? So he says, Kale, the Kali Yuga, doshanidhe, is an ocean of faults. Who need, you know, do we really need to be convinced of that? Anyway, I won't mention any, but it's you know. Kale doshanide, O king. So Shukadeva is speaking to King Parikshit. Kale doshanide rajan, but asti eko mahadgana. There's one very great quality to this age. What is it? Kirtanadeva krishnasya mukta sangha param bhajet. In the two lines, he condenses the whole thing. By the chanting, Kirtanadeva Krishnasya, and of course, the primary chanting is the holy name of Krishna. But it also includes all these songs about Krishna, just describing Krishna, writing about Krishna, glorifying God and His service in so many ways. That's also kirtan. Krishna, mukta sangha, exact that word sangha, it liberates you from the attachment that you've been developing all these lifetimes and becomes prominent in human life. These attachments to material things, gross and subtle. Parambrajit. And you go to the final goal, to the spiritual world. So that's the great value of this age. And Krishna came as Lord Chaitanya to preach that, to distribute that. The word pracharane, it sounds like preaching, and Prabhupada translated it that way. But people don't want to be preached to, do they? You know. So propagate. They're propagating the chanting of the holy name, you know, and as the foundational principle of bhakti-yoga. Okay, any discussion, questions? I kind of went on and on. Yesterday, I completely forgot when the class, I went to 8:15, we were running in the, anyway. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for the class. I have two small questions, just in the regard that you mentioned right now. I also remember reading about this, this mantra, the Hari Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama. Yeah. And also Prabhupada saying that it was like equivalent to chanting the Maha Mantra. So one question was that, like I said, do we get the same results also for chanting that? Or why is it also that like incorporated more in ISKCON, like that chanting specifically?
Well, it's perfectly bona fide to incorporate that. But devotees, I've heard, you know, first of all, you know, it's Sunday feast kirtan, you know. People don't know that mantra. You start chanting that, even Nitai Gauranga, whatever, and people, what's that? Because it's not up on the board. So we stick with Hare Krishna, and it's like that. But in the internal kirtans, it certainly can be there. Hare Nama Krishna, Yadavaya Namaha, Gopal Govindaram Shimadusudan. There's a song that starts with that same verse and it goes through, and that's really, not necessary in a public kirtan, because most of the devotees won't know what all that means, So yes, the holy names are all powerful, but this mantra has a special power, the Maha Mantra. So we should feature that. But it's certainly true that especially among devotees, chanting the name of Nitai Gauranga is absolutely okay, and that song. And even the one, there's a wonderful book put together by Jayaveda Swami called Kirtan Standards, and I would advise to get a hold of that. I can give you I don't have it now, the connection, but the ISKCON Kirtan Standards or something, and just write to me and I'll give you a link for it. And he goes through this, what to chant, and that mantra is mentioned in there, it's bona fide.
Another question I had about is it also bona fide to think about the Maha Mantra, also thinking about Chaitanya, Nityananda's Krishna and Rama? And if yes, is there any special mercy of meditating on Chaitanya, Nityananda while chanting Maha Mantra?
Who can? I'll fall off this Vyasasana if I say no, it's unbona fide. Don't. Are you kidding? Of course it's unbona fide. What's really nice is if you make a point of reading every day, the Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's good if you have the nice the books in your apartment or whatever you're reading, but you can read it online. Veda-based IO, all the books are there, and you can remember. There's so many nice descriptions of kirtans. Madhya Lila, chapter 13, I think. That's the description of Lord Chaitanya dancing in Ratha Yatra. I guarantee they were reading from that up in LA this week. And so that, when you're doing that, it's not very nice, to remember Lord Chaitanya dancing in there, with all the people. So all these things are bona fide to think of. But the main thing is to be absorbed in the holy name, in the sound of the holy name. Because when you read about it, and it's inconceivable, but it's a basic principle of our philosophy, that Krishna is there in full in his holy name. It's inconceivable in our present state. But you can see how the great devotees experience that. Just by chanting that name, Krishna, the Hare Krishna mantra, they're fully there with Krishna. They're visual, they're seeing the pastimes and So that's the first thing. But all these other, other mantras we can chant, they're there. And it's very important to learn the Pancha Tattva mantra and chant that. There's a big purport, more than one, I think, in the CC describing the importance of that before we chant Hare Krishna. Okay, anyone else? I know it's getting late. Yes, but do it because we have an audience out there. So, thank you for staying. Some people they say, "Well, I don't. What is this about?" They get up and leave.
I wanted to ask you about...
Oh, you have to push the button until the light goes on. Hold it. Is it on? Okay.
Hello?
Yeah. Just hold it a little bit. That's it.
Okay. About the question of money, because at some point you said, who wants to be like these millionaires, right? And I guess, or billionaires. I guess maybe, is there something necessarily wrong with money as long as this is put to the service of others, the service of God, of Krishna?
Nothing at all.
Yeah, right.
No, we're entitled, because most people aren't going to be brahmacharis, and join up and we basically don't have anything. But yes, there's a family life in Krishna consciousness. If you make your home into a temple as far as possible, we did that. We went to his home, and we actually had some deities. I got to carry Radharani. Thank you for that privilege. And you need to be able to support family and so many things. That's perfectly fine. But the center should be, there should be a program for offering food, you know, to the deities, and so you're eating sanctified food. And I mean, we should remember Lord Chaitanya himself. We have the Panchatattva. Everyone knows the picture, right? There's Lord Chaitanya, Nityananda, Advaita, and Srivas and Gadadhar. At that point, only one of them was a brahmachari, Gadadhar. Lord Chaitanya was a householder, Advaita and Nityananda and Srivas, you know. But, you know, they were all avatars and everything. So it's perfectly fine to do that. It's just a question of maintaining your consciousness, Krishna consciousness in that environment. Because there can be so many distractions and ways in which you can forget Krishna.
Yeah, I guess it's more difficult.
It's a little more difficult
because of the attachment involved.
But it's certainly possible, and we have great examples that you can find.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Thank you.
it's time. We need to. Okay, but one real short one. Everybody dies. Nobody dies. Wake up, and open your eyes. You're not that body, you're a pure spirit soul. Chant the holy name and attain life's goal. They all know this one. We should make a song out of it. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.